All right, let us go to Sherry in Naples, Florida. Welcome to the Line of Fire.
Well, thank you, Dr. Brown. It's a privilege to talk to you.
My joy.
Okay, I have a question. I was shut in after my mom was diagnosed and was cancer and was in hospice. Anyway, I got involved with an online Facebook Bible study, all women. Turned out it was several thousand women. Turned out after a few weeks, it really became a Torah Observant doctrine that they were pushing. And, you know, I came out of a charismatic Pentecostal background. I was saved in the 70s. I've been seeing all the moves of God. Not all, but I mean, in my lifetime, I've seen a lot of them. Honestly, that I can remember ever used the word when speaking of a so-called Christian group, but I'm finding some of the Torah Observant doctrine, it's getting really far out. And my concern is that there's like 40,000 in this one little group, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of thousands, all mostly very young, new believers that are being taken down this direction. And I don't really do YouTube and the internet and all that very much. And so my question is, do you find that this is a heresy, or are they just in error?
All right, so just obviously I have many, many questions, but to boil it down, what is it that strikes you as the biggest concern? Give me one example of something that makes you think of using the word heresy.
Okay, I've heard some of these ministries make the statement that we can't do blood sacrifices anymore because there's no temple, so we can't follow all of the laws just right, but we follow as many of them as we can, and basically Christ is there for when we can't do it as well as we should do it. And to me, if you're even going in the direction of continuing a blood sacrifice,
right.
It's just
right.
Really,
yeah, that would raise major, major concern. And bottom line is, we're not under the Sinai covenant. We are not under the Sinai covenant.
Well, I did raise that issue in this Bible study, but I was told under no uncertain terms that I am grafted in, and I'm child that I.
So I'd get out of there. Sure. I'd get out of there in a hurry, and I'd say they're going.
I did get out.
Yeah, so they're going in a dangerously wrong direction. Let the church recover Jewish roots. That's wonderful. Let the church understand Jew and Gentile together in Jesus. Wonderful. Let the church have appreciation for the beauty of Torah laws. Let Jewish believers that feel the calling to live as Jews, especially if it's part of their heritage and background. But by no means do we put the law of Moses on all believers in an obligatory way. And although there's a reference in Ephesians 4 where Paul contrasts believers with the Gentiles or other Gentiles, he's talking about pagans there. Romans 11, Paul says, I'm writing to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I'm the apostle to the Gentiles. Gentiles simply means people. It can be used in a disparaging way as pagans, or in a non-disparaging way, the people of the nations entering God's eternal kingdom. So you are a Gentile, I am a Jew, I'm a man, you are a woman. In Jesus, we are equal. In Jesus, no one is better than the other. We have equal status. There's no caste system. There is no class system. And the word is emphatic on that. Romans 10:12, Paul says there's no difference between Jew and Gentile. The same God is God of all, richly blessing all those who call on him. So these things remain fundamentally true. And I have seen people completely apostatize. I'm very serious. Over decades, I've watched Gentiles get into this. Now, look, there are plenty of Gentiles in Messianic who are healthy and thriving and strong. Awesome. I love it. But I have...
That's the science.
Yeah, absolutely. Messianic congregations and Gentile believers join together with Jews and celebrate the biblical calendar. Why not? Why not celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus in the midst of Passover as opposed to a separate holiday? Why not? Awesome. Great. Do it.
I had a Jewish grandfather. It fits for me.
Yeah. So by all means. But when you make law of Moses obligatory on all believers, when you even talk about wishing if the temple was standing we could offer sacrifices, I have watched people go in this direction, Sherry. I have seen them totally deny the Lord. They take on this hyper-Jewish identity. They're not even this hyper-Jewish identity. And then the next thing, they're preaching it to others. They're not preaching Jesus. They're preaching law. And the next thing we don't really believe he's divine. We don't really think he's divine. Well, I mean, there's, and next thing they've apostatized completely. I've watched it happen. So yes, be forewarned. Thank you, Sherry, for the call, and sorry to hear that this deception does spread. I'm 100% for the church recovering its Jewish roots. And friends, CJ, Julio, others, sorry I don't have chance. Everybody on Facebook, send me a little love. Let's some thumbs up, some emojis before we're done here. That'd be sweet to see all of our friends watching every day on Facebook and on YouTube.